I sleep a lot better since Pee Wee Herman's been arrested.
Oftentimes, especially in the era of social media, saying the wrong thing can ruin a celebrity's career for good. But for each controversy surrounding Gilbert Gottfried, his career grew stronger and his fan base larger and more loyal. In this video, I'm going to look at one of the earliest Gilbert Gottfried went too far moments. This is the story of when Gilbert Gottfried came to the public defense of Pee Wee Herman. When it comes to a joke going too far, we all have our own personal lines.
I'd lost an audience as big as anybody could lose an audience. And one guy yelled out too soon, which I thought meant I didn't take a long enough pause between the setup and the punchline.
I'm not here to argue where that line should be or even if you should have one, but it is a reality that careers can be ruined in an instant, especially these days, for saying something deemed inappropriate by the masses. One man, Mr. Gilbert Gottfried, however, was able to buck conventional wisdom and only grow stronger as the controversies surrounding his comedy increased. That's not to say he didn't lose jobs or endorsements over some of his more outrageous jokes, but in the end, his loyal fans stuck with him no matter what, and gave him the kind of longevity any stand-up comedian would be happy to get. As a fan of Gilbert, I've seen him perform live, and I've watched countless videos of his stand-up routines and interviews. And while he's known for pushing the boundaries with his jokes,
I don't know what he's going to do. There's a good chance he's a little inappropriate. And there's a good chance he's really dirty.
I want to start out with one of the earliest and most famous times Gilbert crossed the line. It was 1991. There was the Gulf War. Freddie Mercury had just passed away, and the World Wide Web was born. But we were all far more interested in Pee Wee Herman, a beloved entertainer caught in a scandal than these world-changing events.
Big misadventure continues to grow.
Pee Wee Herman had been caught relaxing too furiously, allegedly,
The focus of worldwide scrutiny after his arrest last month on a morals charge.
on a hot July night in an adult movie theater in Sarasota, Florida, by a few undercover agents.
Anyone that saw the movie where he was on his red bicycle with the flat top, that was not the image projected on this particular evening.
Pee Wee, real name Paul Rubens, was 38 at the time and was one of 3 people who were arrested in the theater that evening. Rubens denied relaxing at all.
He had a cap on, and I guess he was dressed as any normal person going to a theater for an afternoon of theater enjoyment.
And it is questionable he relaxed. I mean, there was never any proof of his relaxing, and the whole thing was kind of wonky. But he was in the theater at the time. And since by that time he was mostly known for his Saturday morning show, Pee Wee's Playhouse, a lot of people got real mad.
You say, Mom, what happened to Pee Wee? What do you say parents should say, Bill?
CBS announced they were pulling the 5 remaining reruns of Pee Wee's Playhouse for that year. The same day, Disney MGM Studios in Florida got rid of a Pee Wee voiceover in one of its tours. And Toys R Us pulled Pee Wee toys from the store. However, something strange was happening. As the scandal wore on, it became clear that the public was on the side of Pee Wee Herman.
Pretty large percentage of people thought CBS was wrong to pull the 5 remaining Pee Wee reruns from the Saturday morning lineup.
The syndicated TV program A Current Affair said that their show had received tens of thousands of responses to a Pee Wee telephone survey on July 31st, and that the callers supported Rubens, with people who were in his favor at 9 to each 1 member of the public who was outraged.
The media and then the rest of the people have crucified him before. He's even had a day in court.
A few months later, when Gilbert Gottfried defended Pee Wee at the 1991 Emmy Awards, public perception really turned.
I want to get something off my chest. You know, I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I sleep a lot better since Pee Wee Herman's been arrested.
And Gilbert gave everyone something else to talk about.
Masturbation's a crime. I should be on death row.
Pee Wee Herman and Gilbert Gottfried had a bit of history. Gilbert beat out Paul Reubens, Pee Wee Herman, for a spot on Saturday Night Live in 1980.
I'm Gilbert Gottfried, and everyone is always asking me how I got on this show.
Pee Wee claimed he was so angry and bitter from losing out, and he thought Gilbert had gotten the job because he was friendly with one of the producers, that it actually inspired him to take things up a notch and create the incredibly popular Pee Wee's Playhouse. Reubens said, "I thought, you better think about doing something to take this to the next level," which is how Pee Wee's Playhouse came to be. He said, "I borrowed some money and produced this show. I went from this Saturday Night Live reject to having 60 people work for me."
CBS said yes without even seeing it.
So perhaps Gilbert thought he owed Reubens one when he spent his monologue at the Emmys making light of the situation.
Masturbation's against the law. I should have been sent to the electric chair years ago.
In a way that highlighted how ridiculous it was.
To think that by age 14 I was already Al Capone.
For Pee Wee Herman to lose everything for allegedly relaxing.
Right now I'm like Superman. You could put charcoal in my hands and I could crush it into a diamond.
For the most part, the crowd seemed a little shocked, but also amused. The network, Fox, didn't feel the same way. They censored the spot on the West Coast, and they swore they'd never have Gilbert back. "They were absolutely taken by surprise and shocked," said Murray Wiseman, spokesman for the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, also claiming that people at a post-show gala were buzzing about the bad taste of it.
The producer said to the press that if he saw me, he'd kick my ass, and the press was writing about it like it was the worst thing possible.
The next day, all the news shows were showing it, talking about how tasteless it was, but the public had been turning more and more in the favor of Pee Wee Herman anyway. A lot of people had felt Pee Wee had been treated unfairly based upon his being a celebrity. Cyndi Lauper, for example, called it a victimless crime. Gilbert reinforced that sentiment. And so while Fox and the advertisers may have been upset with Gilbert, the public saw it as funny, typical Gilbert. And personally, it made me like him even more. In the end, it wouldn't be much longer, and Gilbert would debut as the voice of Iago in Disney's Aladdin in what would become his most iconic voiceover ever. Audiences loved it, and any ill will toward Gilbert Gottfried was soon forgotten. Gilbert often joked that he ended up too dirty for Fox, but clean enough for Disney.
A guy walks into a bar. Joan Rivers is the bartender.
In the end, Gottfried's career was just fine, perhaps even stronger after the '91 Emmy Awards. This pattern of shocking everyone with a joke and then refusing to be canceled would continue throughout Gilbert's career. It was impossible to cancel him, and I think I know why. Spend enough time watching clips and interviews of Gilbert, and what you'll find is a comic with no filter at all, but a huge heart. A comic spends years building up goodwill with an audience in order to be able to joke about the kind of stuff Gilbert did and get away with it. He loved to make people laugh, and shocking comedy was just one of the many ways he could do it.
To be or not to be.
Gilbert was all over the early days of cable, and I've been a fan of his since his days on USA's Up All Night, where he would introduce cheesy B-movies and crack jokes through the commercial breaks, which was entertainment right up my alley. He always seemed to be presenting at the Ace Cable Awards or doing a guest spot somewhere, and I've followed his career from then up until the end. And I know one thing. While Gilbert may have sometimes joked too soon, it was always clear it was just a joke, and it was always pretty funny.